DLIQ, December 9th, Wednesday. Open assignment with Cami. Again, that's DLIQ, December 9th, Wednesday. Open the assignment with Cami. Once the assignment loads, you will notice right away there are two sides for a DLIQ. For today, we are only completing one side. For today, we are only completing one side, and that is the DLIQ for fraction circles and equivalents. This is where we learned how to share equally, whether it was quesadillas or pizza. We used our fraction circles to show equivalence or things were equal. For the D, before we start, I'm going to go to my text box in my toolbar. My font size, I'm going to choose as 24. Well, how is that? Oh, it looks pretty good. If it's not, then I'll change it later. For now, I'm going to stick to 24 as my font size by using my T in my toolbox. Back to our objective. For the D is do. What did we do to learn this skill of sharing and equivalence? What did we do? Think back to our quesadillas and pizzas, gallons of water. What did we do? To represent equivalence and sharing, we, that'll work, divided our circles or models equally. That's what we had to do. We had to divide our circles equally. Then we used a fraction to represent the amount that was shared. That's what we did. Your do can be your own words. That's a little larger than I'd like. I'm going to change that font size to 16. That works for me. You do whatever works for you and your font size. Your L, guys, sorry about that announcement there. Your L is what did you learn? I'm going to choose a different color for this one. What did you learn? You're telling me in your own words. I learned whatever it is that you learned. Did you learn that you can divide 2 ways or 3 ways? Did you learn that each person will still receive the same amount no matter how you divide the circles? That's what I'm going to put. I learned that no matter how I divided my circles, each person, because we use people in our example, received the same amount. It didn't matter how we divided the circles. They always received the same amount at the end. They filled the same amount in their cup. Now, what did you find interesting? What did you find interesting? I thought it was interesting. There was more than one way to represent or show that things can be shared. And I want your question here for the Q. The Q is your question. Think of something. Please do not write, I don't have any questions. I already knew this. I want you to really think, what questions do you have when it comes to sharing and showing things equally? What questions do you have? Put at least one question. Write at least one question that you have. Please do not put, I don't have any questions. Try to think of something. Your question might be, how can I use decimals for equal representation? How can I find or identify if fractions are greater than or less than the other? There are always questions that we can think of. So really think about what questions you have when it comes to fractions so far, sharing equally. Remember, we only completed this one side today. Once you're finished with this one side, just this one side, click Turn In. Let it load for Turn In a second time, and it will take you back to Schoology to submit this assignment. Remember, one side, we completed a DLIQ for fraction circles and equivalents. To represent equivalence and sharing, that was our do. D stands for do. What did we do? L stands for learned. What did you learn today? Or what refreshed your memory? Maybe you you knew it, but hey, this lesson today helped you remember. I is for interesting. What did you find that was interesting? Think of at least one thing that you found that was interesting. And Q, what questions do you have? Remember, try to think of at least one question that you have. That's it. DLIQ for fraction circles and equivalents. Turn it in and then submit.